Hi, I'm Diet Cokehead, and legally I'm required to tell you that I am within 500 feet of a buffet. I'm not becoming a true crime channel. We're gonna do a shit ton of other stuff. I'm just doing whatever the fuck comes to my head, and I cannot list every single fucking instance of cannibalism that has ever fucking happened in humanity in one fucking video, guys. So, I unlocked a new fucking series! What's up? You bitches did not ask for it, you're gonna get it anyway, and you guys are gonna be fucking pleased with it. This is not true crime. I will never do true crime. This is a psychological autopsy of what happens when obsession, loneliness, and ice storms push people past the edge and into the meat aisle. Huh. Cannibals! Let's get down to the meat of this bitch. I'm gonna do that this whole fucking video. I feel like cannibals are kind of on brand. I mean, I kind of turned my personal trauma into like this weird fucking parasocial performance art thing, that I got going on. And you can call this channel borderline adjacent, border core, for all you newfangled hippity hoppity hipsters might say. But Dahmer and his kin are kind of linked to borderline personality disorder. Of all the psychologists that analyzed Dahmer, they all kind of agreed with borderline as a primary diagnosis because of the whole, eat your lover so they never eat you kind of thing. But I mean, if I were going to eat my lover, I'd be like, yeah, this motherfucker's going to become my shit. But I mean, I guess there are two kinds of sociopaths. If YouTube were around in the early 90s, and if Dahmer and all that shit, if all that happened in the 80s, right? We would be calling him bipolar with an Oedipus complex. Diagnoses are trends, we don't know shit. But it also kind of begs the question, hey, is Dahmer an absolute evil piece of shit? Or is he just a misunderstood, hopeless romantic? But personally, I feel like that linear of thought is just bullshit. I mean, if you're gonna fucking eat people, then you're gonna lie to people, and you know how to spin a narrative probably, so we'll never fucking know. There's literally no lie detector test. Guys, you can trick a lie detector really easily. Literally, there is no way to tell if anyone is lying ever. You always just have to guess. Behavior analysis have been working on this for centuries, and we fucking got nothing. You know what? Let me tell you guys a trick. If you clench your asshole when they ask you a question on a lie detector, and unclench whenever you answer, then whether or not you have confidence in that answer, the lie detector will pass you. That's it. That's the trick. Congratulations, you're now more honest, or just as honest, as Jeffrey Dahmer. Life hacks! That's gonna be $12.50 on my OnlyFans. Or a femur. I accept femurs. It doesn't have to be yours. Cannibalism is actually very rare in tribes. Throughout famines, it's almost unheard of in South America, Indonesian, and African countries where they typically consume the dead for ritual or witchcraft, which didn't even show up until Christian missionaries started popping up all over the place. It should be noted that in some Asian countries and Russia, cannibalism was a bit more frequent. My fucking accent is a bit more frequent. I want you to pay attention, though, to the regions where this is more common in. It's cold. They don't got bugs. They don't have grass. You got Westerners over here making it all out to be like it's a fucking Tinder date or something gone wrong. I mean, Westerners think it's savage, but then they go eat communion wafers and call it Jesus. I'm just saying, if the Aztecs had better marketing, it would be called spiritual protein cycling. In the West, they think everybody's just going to be like, okay, well, I missed my macros, so who's made up of the leanest protein? But it's not fucking like that. Our sense of empathy is preferably just as developed as our hunger. So we gotta trust each other, We gotta know that we're not fucked if we're hungry, that we're gonna work it out, If somebody's just sitting over there in the cave chewing on a foot, everybody's gonna be like, fucking don't trust that dude. It's such an anomaly because it's like one of those things that are the exact opposite of our evolutionary stuff, right? But I'm gonna try start with vanilla to the weirdest, and we're doing the Donner Party first. Y'all know them. The Donner Party originated from Springfield, Illinois, and departed Independence, Missouri, on the Oregon Trail in the spring of 1846. And then they got fucked on the Hastings Cutoff. Sub-zero temperatures, no rescue, no food, snow so deep that it covered cabins. People started dying. So survival situations like this are kind of worse than a famine because like in a famine, everybody are all grouping together and they're doing their best with frogs and trash and bugs, you know, whatever the fuck. But this is absolutely no relief, no crops, no game, no bugs. These people are immediately fucked with no end or aid in sight. And I don't say that to minimize famines. I just say that to so you can understand how dire and immediate of a situation that they were in. I just want to take a moment to note that there were cabins and shit there. I don't know about y'all, but when I pictured this, I thought it was like an unsettled wasteland. I thought that nothing there. I don't really know how the history of our settlement works. You know, I was kind of surprised at how much I did not know when I was reading about the Donner Party. So anyway, it began with eating their dead. According to several conflicting survivor testimonies. There were 87 families, livestock died. There have been disputes on whether or not the cannibalism even happened. Some survivors claimed human meat was only given to children and infants. There are claims that they ate their Native American tour guides. Some of them straight up said they were eating babies. Some of them said that they weren't eating anybody at all and that this was all complete fabrication. But, no one agrees. But, there was one man, Louis Kesselberg, who was accused post-rescue of straight up killing and eating people. He denied it, but was found with body parts and confessed to eating at least several of the dead. Louis Kesselberg was a German immigrant, mid-30s, and part of the Donner Party, and I have no fucking idea if I'm saying his name right. Described by some survivors as moody, violent, and weird even before the snow hit. Allegedly, he hit his wife and threatened other members of the group before cannibalism was even on the table, huh? He was among the last people rescued, and when the final search party reached him, he was alone in the cabin, surrounded by bones, body parts, and a pot full of cooked meat. He claimed he only ate the dead, but he had money and personal items from several other party members who had died. Some believe he looted corpses, others think he helped speed up the dying process. He admitted to eating Tamsin Donner, the wife of the expedition leader who refused to leave her dying husband. He said she died on her way over the mountains. I found her body and used it. But the timeline was iffy, and people suspected foul play. There are several of these, but we're saving those. The only other survival instance I'm going to do is the Andes flight disaster in 1972. In 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 carrying a rugby team crashed into the Andes Mountains. 45 people on board. Only 16 survived after 72 days in the mountains. Temperatures dropped to 22 degrees below 22 degrees Fahrenheit. The rescue team gave up after 8 days, and then they heard the radio declare all of them dead. So they had to eat the dead to stay alive. And again, cannibalism occurs more in freezing temperatures. It's not just that white people are all fucking inherently evil ass cannibals. It's just where it's colder, you know, no bugs, no bugs save lives, y'all, no shit. The survivors didn't go straight to eating people. They held out for weeks, starving on wine, chocolate, and a few scraps. But when the food ran out and the bodies of their friends were preserved in ice, they made a group pact. If they died, their bodies would be used as food. They called it a communion. Literally, they were all Catholic. And I know I talk shit about Catholics and but I don't really think all religious people are evil fucking predators. I think that they're misguided, scared, and insecure normal people who are capable of being either good or bad. And I exempt religion in this situation because I mean, even me, I would have been like, oh my god, Buddha, Jesus, fucking save me. I get it. These guys weren't sociopaths. Some of them rationalized it as sacrament, like Christ's body at Mass. This is my friend given for you. They had to cut flesh with shards of glass and eat it like frozen jerky. I don't want to minimize the situation, but whenever I read the frozen jerky part, I was like, man, I can just imagine biting into like a microwave sandwich that's way too cold. Ugh. A rescue helicopter finally arrived. It couldn't fit everyone, so the pilot flew back with survivors chewing human flesh in their coat pockets. They didn't tell the press the truth at first. When they finally confessed, they expected the world to react with outrage, but instead, everybody was kinda impressed. Issei Sagawa. So y'all think I'm bad for trying to get famous from my trauma and shit. This motherfucker is famous because he ate a woman. Seriously. I know everybody knows who he is by now, but we're gonna fucking go over this. And I just challenge y'all to tell me what the fuck I'm doing wrong. I've never ate somebody and went and made a comic over it, guys. In 1981, while studying literature in Paris, Sagawa lured his Dutch classmate René Hartevelt, to his apartment under the pretense of translating poetry. So he shot her in the neck with a rifle, raped her corpse, ate parts of her body over the course of 2 days, tried to dispose the remains in the park, but he was caught red-handed with a suitcase full of human meat. Sagawa claimed he always felt physically inadequate. He was 4'9" and described himself as weak and ugly, and he saw eating someone beautiful as a way to absorb their vitality and beauty. In his own words, he wanted to possess her forever. Does that sound familiar? That's some Dahmer core logic, but with a more fragile ego intellectualism layered on top. He didn't want to kill her. He wanted to consume her like she was art, like her body was a private performance. It wasn't about domination through violence. It was fetishistic in a way that was almost aesthetic. This was somebody who did not see a human being in front of him. He objectified her until she was art, even though he held it up to an extremely high caliber. So this is borderline cannibal as a vampire. So instead of blood, he thought the meat gave him vitality. So basically, he's what happens when incel narcissists think they're a fucking Nick Cave song. He was declared legally insane in France and unfit to stand trial. He was deported to Japan, where authorities couldn't prosecute because the charges in France had already been dropped. He walked free to this day. He's a minor celebrity in Japan, writing books, appearing in movies, and reviewing restaurants. You're not hallucinating. This is a thing that's happening. Sagawa is more of a fetishist romantic cannibal driven by a warped mix of sexual obsession, inadequacy, and aesthetic hunger. He intellectualized the whole thing like a French horror novella. Armin Meiwes. I honestly should not have done Sagawa first, but he's more popular, so I wanted that one out of the way. But I'll just, fucking forget it. I'm not changing it. I'm not changing the order and redoing this. No, y'all know I don't fucking organize. But anyway, Meiwes was initially charged for manslaughter. He literally just put up a Craigslist ad and someone responded. And he was like, what? He was a consenting adult? I mean, this is really a case that begs the philosophical question. Just because somebody agrees, I mean, is he a murderer or a really committed dinner date? And he didn't even mean to kill him. He just wanted to eat a dick, you know? And the dude, this guy wasn't even fucking like humbling himself or anything for the extremity of what he wanted. Like, he wanted what he wanted. He was not settling for no less. He specified that he wanted a cock that was 18 to 30 and well built, because Germans have no fucking idea when they're accidentally being hilarious. And he's not eating 31-year-old dick, guys. He's not an animal. So enter Bernd Jurgen Brandes, a depressed engineer with a death wish and a castration kink. He responded enthusiastically. And I can see it. Lots of dudes are begging for this shit. Like, lots of them. I bet, my dudes, they're watching this right now and they're getting ideas. Man, you know what? I'll tie up your balls. We can smack them around a little bit. But if you can't tip me a lawyer, I do not do no liabilities. Buy my OnlyFans. Fuck everybody. But anyway, back to that dude. Yeah, so this wasn't a kidnapping, it was an RSVP. When I get guys to smash their balls for me, like, that's my job. If it were for money, I'd understand. But this is a polite manifestation of a deeply internalized rage and anger, and this is Freudian as fuck. Armin said he was haunted by childhood fantasies of having a little brother that he could keep with him forever, which is a recurring theme with the fetish ones, by consuming him. No prior criminal record, mild-mannered, polite, nerdy, total Buffalo Bill meets IT guy energy. His diagnosis varied. Some say narcissistic personality disorder. Others say that he had signs of schizoid and borderline traits. But like Dahmer, this was about control, attachment, and a literalized fear of abandonment. If I eat you, you will never leave me. Like, I hope y'all are taking notes for Valentine's Day. I'm gonna have to redo this video by then. Alright. These are the last two that I picked, and I put this guy lower than him for a reason, but Albert Fish. This is like if Jeffrey Dahmer's grandpa explained why he turned out the way he did. Born Hamilton Howard Fish, but Hamilton Howard is the part that he wanted to change. He grew up in an orphanage, and he really liked getting beaten up there. The Catholics, they pop up again already. They claimed he claimed that he had visions that he wanted to atone for by self-torture. By adulthood, he was a painter, a handyman, and a giant fucking red flag. Fish sexually abused, mutilated, and ate children. And this wasn't thrill kill shit. This was ritualistic. This was sadomasochistic, and it was sexually motivated. He sent letters to the victims' families, and they weren't even ransom notes. These were just like fucking menus in poetry. The most infamous one being the Grace Bud letter, where he described exactly how he murdered and ate a 10-year-old girl in grotesque culinary detail. I read them. I didn't have to, but I'm a curious person. It's twisted, and it's easy to find for yourself. Information is everywhere. You just gotta, it's like on the first Google search of Google when you look it up. Like, this is interactive media. Do your own damn work. So, but I will say this about the letters. They were absolutely perverse. They were sick ramblings of a disgusting man who fantasized about very specific parts of children's anatomy in disgusting detail. And this is a man who was reduced to nothing and understood the capacity for love just enough to know that he was denied it his whole life. And he resents every child who got more of it than he did. He focused a lot on how the children cried for their parents, and that was it. That's what he wanted to take from everyone. At least that's what I got from it. I mean, I could be wrong. He was an extreme masochist. He shoved all kinds of stuff up his dick. Extreme sexual perversions, and they are extremely common in people who are raised without parents and not bonded with any caregivers. So I think crossing his stuff with religion, that probably, like, he has a lot of features of some schizo shit. But even what schizos see are symbolic as hell to the individual. I don't really know enough to say for sure whether or not it's always is, because disorganized types are different. But Fish is, he's a very metaphorical dude, you know. So I'm sure that his hallucinations acted accordingly. He lived in a different reality than we do. People are walking around in their own version of the world, every single one of us, and his was a hellhole. And yeah, that's Albert Fish in a nutshell. So I'm just gonna wrap this video up. We're gonna do Big Daddy Dahmer. So Fish gets less cred because he ain't as cute. He went a little deeper. He was way more disturbing because even fucking cannibalism is gatekept for who's more digestible. And Dahmer is the much more digestible cannibal. But this motherfucker is Milwaukee's gay club Casanova. Ice cold eyes, gentle voice, sad boy energy. He killed 17 men and boys, kept body parts as trophies, and drilled holes into the heads so he had sex zombies. Why do people, like, this is one of, Ted Bundy and Dahmer are some of the biggest thirst-trapped ones, but I mean, like, again, I still think he's a little bit more safe for media than a lot of the other ones, and also just presentation. He was quiet, he was polite, he was just a Midwestern serial killer with a camera and a freezer. This dude is really, this guy is fucked up in his own right, though, and I'll give him that because he wasn't abandoned, he wasn't molested. Dahmer is just proof that a regular broken-ass American home with neglect, shame, and an alcoholic dad and closeted gay guilt, that can make a serial killer. That's what makes people spiral when they learn about him, I think. You know, he's not foaming out the mouth. He's not hallucinating. He was polite. He was reserved, in control of himself. Just a Midwestern guy who said, I don't want to be alone. And meant it so hard that he turned people into fucking furniture. It was just, I didn't want them to leave. He wasn't enraged. He just wanted to pause time. He didn't even eat people because he was hungry. He did it to own them, or so he says. It's not even, it's desperation turned into slow, methodical ritual. He drugged his victims not to torture them, but to remove them of their will, to make them stay quiet in his life. All these dudes are unassuming, normal looking, like, not his victims, all the serial killers and stuff. Like, if you look, they're normal looking dudes. They're totally unassuming. And was Jeffrey Dahmer even sorry? I don't think so. He said he found God in prison. He said he knew what he did was wrong. He said he understood that he deserved death, but he never explained himself in a way that made it any better. Christopher Scarver, already in prison for murder, was assigned to clean the prison gym with Dahmer and another inmate, Jesse Anderson. Server claimed Dahmer had been mocking other inmates with fake severed limbs and ketchup and blood on his food. There were a couple more cannibals out there, but I think a Valentine's video would be cool. And thanks for watching. Yeah, that was it. That was my anticlimax. I don't think that Jeffrey Dahmer really felt bad for it if he was using it to mock other inmates. But, yeah, that's it. I'm Diet Cokehead. That's today's video. Like and subscribe, or I'll eat your mom.